When my soul is weary, when my soul is raw, when my heart is breaking.
Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 15th of December. We are 10 days away from the big day, Christmas.
I have a Saturday Night Live clip for you, actually kind of teasing Greta. So we're going to cover Greta Thunberg, who was named as Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Well, I've been seeing memes where people put together like a Hong Kong person of the year. That's where I'm at.
You know what we think? Great minds think alike. I was going to say that. That was my thing. I think Hong Kongers should definitely have gotten Person of the Year. Yeah. But when you started a cult, you know, sometimes the cult leaders just go with that. Mm-hmm. We didn't cover this last week, but I think it was a week ago. An island off the coast of Australia erupted.
Wait, the island or the volcano?
The volcano on the
island.
The
island erupted!
Yeah, well, islands, a lot of islands are created through volcanoes.
Very
so, yeah.
True, very true.
There were tourists on this volcano island when it was erupting, and people are dead.
Tell like ahead of time?
I don't know. You would think that there would be some seismic
activity,
detections. So
they died from a volcano. Like, did they die from the ash or like literal lava?
Well, some people, like one guy is in the water. They can't find him. It's done erupting, and so now they're looking for bodies.
Oh, crikey!
Was always expected to be risky, but with the threat of another eruption and toxic gases, a team of military operatives has braved New Zealand's White Island. Their time-based mission was to find the missing, and tonight, some Australians are closer to coming home.
A cry out to sea for the broken-hearted. Families of the lost and missing on a slow daybreak procession as New Zealand mourned alongside them.
It acknowledges what's happening at this time with the grief and loss.
The Māori blessing sang them back to shore. Relatives had come face to face with the island where the bodies of their loved ones still lay.
It was just magical. It was really, truly something special.
Families had waited in Whakatane. After 4 long days at dawn, the recovery operation for the final 8 bodies began. Military choppers honing in on the volatile island with an 8-man NZDF bomb squad on board.
We're on the east side of White Island right now. From here you can see 2 choppers. They're really, weaving in and out of that huge cloud that's still spilling from the volcano. Recovery teams are on the ground right now. They are having some trouble. Their protective gear is very heavy. It makes things slower than expected, and they're having difficulty accessing some of the bodies.
In the line of duty and the line of fire too, there was a chance White Island would erupt again. For 4 hours they searched, fitted in protective hazmat suits, the island covered in thick ash and mud, the air around them filled with toxic gas.
Returned to shore, they were placed in coffins, and that's when family and friends were given the opportunity to receive and farewell their loved ones. The coffins were then placed in hearses and driven in procession to the Auckland mortuary for formal identification. It's after this process that the families, the Australian families, will be able to begin to return home and start to plan their funerals.
So I'm going to play that, and then I have another.
Or they were placed in
coffins. They found a couple more people since that video. So
wow. Well, to New Zealand, where police officially named the first victim in the White Island volcanic eruption, a 21-year-old Australian woman. Meanwhile, the death toll has risen to 15. Here's Danya Bacchus.
New Zealand officials continue to search for 2 more people who are missing but presumed dead. Recovering the bodies has been considered a high-risk mission. Rescue teams in gas masks and wearing hazmat suits are only able to stay on the island for 75 minutes at a time. Scientists say the volcanic gases being emitted on the island are so toxic that a single breath could be deadly.
We know that time is of the essence, but the reality is, for the time being, we've recovered the 6 obvious bodies. but we've got more work to do. We've got 2 more, and we're actually determined to get them back.
Brenda Ingorani Gordon's nephew, Tapeni Manga, is believed to be one of the missing.
He was such a joyful tangata hariko, so full of love for everyone.
Police have officially identified one victim as 21-year-old Australian Crystal Eve Browett. Her father and sister are both in the hospital with serious injuries.
Oh my God.
The volcano, a popular tourist destination, erupted Monday. 47 people were on the island at the time, 9 of them Americans. Dozens still remain hospitalized. Many of the victims were passengers from a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Royal Caribbean tells CBS News it's now suspending tours of active volcanoes. And the New Zealand government is facing questions about why tourists were allowed access to an active volcano site. Danya.
So that's a little bit interesting there at the end. I mean, so it's an active site. What does that even mean? Like,
that's a good question. That is a good question.
Like, you go to a geyser, right? And you know at any moment it could actually blow, like, while you're standing there. If that's the equivalent there.
Yeah. When was the last time that this volcano had erupted?
Yeah.
Did they have any? Was there anything in place?
So, in the chat here, Britt Baza says, let me go back here. Michelle, it was a hydroplasmic flow, meaning very hot water and gases. Redneck says that breathing that stuff in is like concrete in your lungs. So I think that's where
the death.
Yeah. So yeah, just stay away from him.
Yeah.
Stay away of the New Zealand volcanic eruption has died at Concord Hospital in New South Wales, bringing the death toll from the disaster to 16. The news comes as authorities formally identify another 3 Australians recovered from White Island. Zoeella Hosking and her stepfather Gavin Brian Dello from Adelaide have been confirmed dead, while Lisa Dello, mother of Zoe Hosking, has been returned to Australia for medical treatment. The third person identified is Sydney man Anthony James Langford, a 51-year-old who was travelling with his wife and 2 children. Meanwhile, a recovery mission in the waters surrounding White Island has failed to find either of the 2 bodies still missing since last Monday's eruption. Norman Hermont reports from Auckland.
Police have identified another 4 of the bodies from White Island. 3 are Australians, 1 is a New Zealander. Now, this follows the recovery operation on Friday that saw 6 of the bodies brought here to the morgue in Auckland, but that total, we are told, is not necessarily connected to the bodies that were recovered on Friday. Now, recovery teams did return to White Island off Whakatane today. 2 sets of teams went on the island. Apparently, they had equipment that was similar to the equipment that was used on Friday, very heavy-duty hazmat suits, breathing equipment. They spent up to 75 minutes on the island trying to locate a body they thought might be near a crater. They were unable to do so. They came back without success.
We do this for a reason. We want to make sure that we bring the right expertise to bear with regard to the task at hand, so that we can find people and return them. So it is.
So I wanted to bring you news of that. Is pretty big news that happened this week.
So Barry says, Michelle, the thing with this volcano is that the week before the eruption there was an earthquake in the area, so the volcanologists knew there was geological activity in the area, but still had tourism.
Well, and that was the thing, the Royal Caribbean cruise, that's why there were so many people on that small little island, was the Royal Caribbean cruise ship had taken an excursion out there to the island, and you and I I wouldn't have thought anything of it.
We're so trusting as people. Like, we think it's safe. If they say it's safe, they say it's safe, and just go do it. Think for yourself. You know what? I've always been terrified because I've seen so many volcano movies.
Well, Royal Caribbean, do they have some insurance? Like, will they be paying out to the victims?
Like, okay, but did they know?
Right.
There's going to probably be a lot of questions there, but families, I'm sure, are going to want some sort of payout, and I don't really blame them.
Yeah, it's really sad. So I wanted to bring you that, and I don't know how to else say use caution when around an active volcano, but
no, the caution around an active volcano is to not be around one. But still, our hearts go out to these people. They were innocent.
Yeah.
It's totally innocent. I mean, this is a horrendous thing that's happened.
And I guess this would segue into our next, you always wonder, how do you segue into another story? A lot of people will say anything that has to do with a natural disaster is because of man-made climate change. Well, I highly doubt that anything in New Zealand, which is surrounded by water, and this island would be, directly connected to some sort of climate change. You're right. No, that's what I'm saying. But the climate hysteria is that whenever anyone dies from a natural disaster,
a tree falls over, it's climate
change. And it's gotten to be this horrible cult.
I know.
And what's very weird about it all is like you have a house insurance, and it says, acts of God or natural disasters or things like that. What are they going to do? Do you think that maybe you could start suing people now? Because if you can say it's not an act of God anymore, it's an act of man, it's climate change.
That's a very good question.
Where does that put? I mean, and I think that we're in this.
Maybe they'll just change it to an act of climate change.
So you have Greta Thunberg, who has been named, and maybe if Michelle wants to bring up the picture, she can, the Time Magazine Person of the Year, which is sad to me because there are so many people who have done so many amazing things this year. And I do think that the Hong Kongers trying to overthrow the communist government would deserve to be that. That's the people, that's the one. This week, Greta Thunberg said that politicians and world leaders should be put against the wall, and she has since had to come out and to apologize. Now, she's 16 years old at this point. A lot of people, and we're going to be very careful in our coverage of her because she is under a protected class. She has the Asperger's, which is on the autism spectrum.
And she's underage.
And she's but even at that point, I think that even if she were, because she starts as a child, once she's even 30 or 40, it's going to be like off limits. You know what I mean? Because she's like off limits. She's off limits. It's really weird the way she's being treated. The Church of Sweden has said that she is the next incarnate, like Jesus Christ.
Oh my God!
And the Pope is meeting with her, and world leaders are meeting with her. This shows you that there is a diabolical undertone to her in her. You have stolen. I spit everywhere.
I'm sure she had to spit when she
stolen my childhood. You have.
So we probably should say, never, ever, ever should you ever commit an act of violence towards anyone, and we do not wish Greta Thunberg any harm.
Oh.
Do not ever harm her.
Oh,
do not harm this little child.
Facebook has said that you can't say it. You can only wish acts of violence against like dangerous people.
We are not asking for acts of violence. We do not condone acts of violence. I'm putting that out there.
Teenage climate activist Greta Thunberg has apologized now for saying politicians should be put against the wall after critics took it to mean that she was advocating for violence.
Act of violence.
The 16-year-old Swede made the comment in a speech, and I really feel like Facebook or Twitter has to give us a bigger leeway to go after her as fellow Swedish, with Sweden being...
Y'all don't even know. No, we got official hats and everything.
So,
So technically, since we are Swedish, we have every right to...
Dude,
do you need the bigger hat today?
No, I just feel like Svensson is way more Swedish than Thunberg. So I'm just saying. Thunberg later said that she was making a literal translation from Swedish in which the expression means to put somebody on the spot with tough questions. That's what happens when you improvise speeches in a second language. And I do have to say, she does speak 2 languages, and that is pretty impressive. But of course, I apologize if anyone misunderstood this, she wrote on Twitter. Thunberg told the crowd in Turin that world leaders were running away from their responsibilities to fight climate change. We have to make sure that they cannot do that, she says. We will make sure that we put them against the wall, that they will have to do their job and to protect our futures. The expression putting someone against the wall in Swedish describes a situation when someone is forced to address difficult questions or a difficult situation, but some right-wing voices on social media interpreted her comment as a call for violence. So Breitbart is treading very carefully in their description, their article here. We have Time Magazine has chosen Greta Thunberg as Person of the Year. The 16-year-old Swedish climate activist here with the Pope. Thank you for standing up for the climate and for speaking truth, she says. It means a lot. God bless you. Continue your work. Continue. The power of youth. She gets to go between European leaders.
Toxic air pollution, loss of insects and wildlife, the acidification of our oceans. These are all disastrous trends being accelerated by a way of life that we, here in our financially fortunate part of the world, see as our right to simply carry on.
So, I have to say, when I was looking up pictures for her, she is really cute. Like, there's some really cute pictures of her. Like, she's an adorable little girl, and my heart actually goes out to her being used as a pawn. She does have
Asperger's,
a handicap.
Yeah.
And the fact that people would be exploiting her, and I'm not trying to say that Asperger's makes you stupid or dumb or ignorant or anything like that, all right? That being said, we are all at a young age impressionable.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll be honest, when I see an animal run over in the street every once in a while, like, it hits me really hard, and I just don't even, I'm confessing this here on air, like, the thought hits me, like, I don't even want to keep living. If we have cars to meet our needs, and animals have to die because of it, and deer get hit because we have these super highways, like, it's not even worth living. We've infringed on nature. And so it's kind of an irrational thought. It's a female thing, but it's real. That's my point. So if she really believes that all of this wildlife is suffering, could you imagine the mental turmoil that she is under? And she would feel so right that she has to do this. And so as much as we are giving her a hard time, I think I want to say it here on the channel first. Until she becomes, like, of age, I'm going to blame her mentors. I'm going to blame her parents. I'm going to blame her handlers. Okay, those are the people that I want to call out in this situation.
Absolutely.
Not Greta herself.
Yeah.
What priceless values they have been sacrificing to continue making unimaginable amounts of money.
It's this, again, diabolical, satanic twistedness where you have extreme wealth, extremely wealthy people sit there and are lectured about never-ending economic growth and unimaginable wealth. They don't actually care. So I'm actually...
But it's also kind of sick. It's like they're kind of getting this high off of watching this little girl.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it kind of is like pedophilic.
And I think many of you here today belong to that group of people. If our house was falling apart, you wouldn't hold 3 emergency Brexit summits and no emergency summit regarding the breakdown of the climate and environmental.
She stared down Donald Trump. Now, here's the thing. Somebody has to handle that child to get her within 10 feet of the president to try to speak. That particular meeting, she was brought before the president, but not invited. Yeah. So somebody around that close to the president had to invite her in. There got a thing sticking out. Which, out.
Not your hair, just
out.
This, you know these shirts come with these clear things to make sure they stay on a hanger? They're stupid. She has good speechwriters, Baker Mom says.
You say you love your children above all else, and yet you're stealing their future in front of their very eyes. For those of us who are on the spectrum, almost everything is black or white. We aren't very good at lying, and we usually don't enjoy participating in the social game that the rest of you seem so fond of. Especially when it comes to the sustainability crisis, where everyone keeps saying that climate change is an existential threat and the most important issue of all. And yet, they just carry on like before.
So hang on though, because
she is not wrong.
She has a point there.
She's not wrong. And I do believe that she is going to come to a place where she's going to realize I've been used.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as Donald Trump tweeted out, she'll come to a place where she will chill, Greta, chill. Okay? Because I believe what's very interesting, what's so incredibly interesting is that if I were to sit down with Greta in her black and white, I don't know if she could see the middle ground yet. And I'm hoping she will be able to, because I agree with her on so much.
Right.
We are, but what they have done is they have channeled certain facts and certain truths into climate change, which there's literally nothing you can do about. Nothing you can do about it, because the climate is always changing. If they were to tell the world that we're damaging the planet, that we're polluting the planet, that we are putting toxic fumes into the planet through combustion engines, you can see it, you can smell it, the smog in the air, you can smell the pollution, right. You can see the plastic, the pollution of the plastic. Yeah, you can you know, if she were to go on a GMO rampage and she were to say you are sacrificing the future for your own gain, you can say that about America Farms. You can say that about GMOs. You can say that about one monocrop. She's only 16, or she started when she was 15. There's what they have done is they have funneled all of their socioeconomic desire of a communist overthrow of all governments through this one little lens, not allowing her to see the whole rainbow, not allowing her to see the whole spectrum, not allowing her to show that there could be solutions, because with climate change, as AOC pointed out, the solutions have not yet been invented.
Right.
And so Greta Thunberg, goes around and everybody pats her on the back and tells her, you're so awesome. You're the para. You're the next Gandhi. You're the next savior. You're the next Messiah.
Right.
Okay. And she feels this weight on her shoulder. I don't know if you guys seen it, but she's lost weight as it's gone along. She looks really
should be getting
sick.
Bigger because she's
growing. She looks kind of sickly. I know she's had like her little, hunger strikes and things in the past, but like she doesn't look healthy in my opinion, and she certainly is not happy.
Right.
Okay. You've done is, when she's crying and she's saying, "You've stolen my childhood." When Time Magazine puts her on the cover, that's raping of that child.
Right.
That is child abuse. And with everybody putting these, I'm going to say twisted truths, because they have taken truths and they've twisted it. And we talk about that.
They're using her for political gain. I mean, how is that okay?
We sit here and we come to you through electronics to tell you the planet is being damaged, and here is a list of 100 things that you can do in your very life to make it so that the wildlife are protected, to make it so that there's no factory farms anymore. You today can make it so there's no factory farms. You today can start growing your own food if you have any sort of lawn, or encourage a local farmer, riding your bicycle. There's working from home. There are so many things that can be done. There are so many things that can be done if we believed that we are actually damaging the planet through pollution and factory farms.
Right.
But climate change is a myth. It's a legend, and sometimes myths and legends are based on half-truths, like dragons.
Yeah.
Okay? And so with climate change, and you look around and you say, people are driving 1 hour both ways to and from work. Who started all that? Greta, there's no way to fix that overnight. What are you expecting people to do? We don't have the energy that you're expecting people to have. And so every ad, every restaurant, every consumer good that's out there, like she talks about this endless economic growth, she's absolutely right, and she's absolutely spot on. And our government, even Donald Trump, is part of that. It's all holding up the bankers and the endless wars, and it's holding up, and it goes back to Greta. We have I have the golden ticket. I have your answer. I don't want to bash her. I want to help her, because she's not wrong on, say, I maybe give her 50% of the issues at hand. It's the way she applies it and the way that her handlers apply it, because what they want is, they want continued economic growth, but they want to control it. So they want to take control. This climate change thing is Al Gore. Just look what they do. Look what they do. Al Gore has a giant mansion in Florida. It cost him like, what was it? I don't know how much. It was an astronomical amount of electricity to run his mansions. Sure. Obama's just bought a $14 million mansion on Martha's Vineyard. If they really believed in climate change, they wouldn't have put their money into that. And at the same time, why are all of the world leaders saying we need to do something about climate change, and then buying giant houses where you have somebody like Glenn Beck, who has a home out west that is completely off the grid.
Like Thomas Massey.
And you have Thomas Massey, who is a Republican, who does believe that we are damaging the planet, who has his whole house is completely off the grid.
He a farmer,
solar
he's a rancher.
panels that he can move and to get the snow off and for different sunlight, and he's a rancher, and he collects his own water, and he creates his own electricity, and he keeps it on a Tesla battery, which I hope is far away from his home, because they tend to blow up. But my point is that I think that we do a disservice to not talk about some of her issues that she's right about, and that they are right about, because it's not her, she's their mouthpiece. But we have to hammer the fact that they want socioeconomic control. That's what AOC wants, is a control of everybody's labor. She says, like AOC and the leftists say, you should have free college, you should have free this. Well, what that means is, I want to control your labor. And that is not part of any sort of environmentalism, because when you talk about animals, well, people say, well, you shouldn't be able to control animals. Well, you really shouldn't be able to control people. And so Donald Trump says, so ridiculous about her being named the Time Person of the Year. Greta must work on her anger management problem, then go to a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. Chill, Greta, chill.
Greta actually trolled him right back, because she changed her status right here on Twitter to say that she's just a teenager working on her anger management problem, currently chilling and watching a good old-fashioned movie with a friend.
And you know what? If she is, that would be good. But I don't think she is. Because she can't enjoy life. Number one, because of her Asperger's. It's been shown that she couldn't enjoy life. She's stuck onto something. Number two, because her parents of God are crazy. And then we have...
And imagine the weight on your shoulders, right? So now you've been named Times Person of the Year. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to walk away, could you? The pressure, if you wanted to not do these speeches... Like the pressure there, she's living out of suitcases, going from speech to speech to speech. You know, her childhood is really stolen, and it's sad. And it wasn't Donald Trump that stole her childhood. No. It wasn't you and me, however you want to say that. It was her handlers who stole her childhood.
Exactly. So here we have Greta Thunberg tackled over overcrowded train, tweet by douchebomb. A rail operator cast doubt on the eco-activist claim, highlighting the service she received at her seat in first class. So she tweeted out that this train, this German train, was crowded, but they had given her a free ticket, by the way, from what I understand. Says, climate activist Greta Thunberg claims she rode on an overcrowded train from Germany towards Sweden, but got to forget to mention that she had been given a first-class free ride by the railroad company and lied about being on the floor. Here she says, traveling on overcrowded trains through Germany, and I'm finally on my way home.
So she's already gotten into the art of deception by pictures.
And so her mom had to do that. Her parents had to do that. Climate campaigner Greta Thunberg has been taken to task by the German railway for tweeting a photo of herself sitting on the floor of a train surrounded by lots of bags. The 16-year-old Swedish activist drew sympathy after posting the image with the comment that she was traveling through the country on overcrowded trains. On her way home from the UN climate change conference in Madrid, the crusading youngster does not fly on planes because it's considered harmful to the climate. Responding, rail operator JoshWhoTV said that they were pleased to have her aboard their eco-friendly train and welcomed her support in the fight against climate change, but the company pointedly added it would have been nicer if you had also reported how friendly and competent you were looked after by our team at your seat in first class. JoshWhoTV has faced criticism in recent years for delays, last-minute train cancellations, and expensive ticket fares. So it's very interesting. Jeremy Corbyn in 2016, he was filmed sitting on the floor of a ram-packed service, which he used to highlight the plight of train passengers in the UK. Virgin Train subsequently disputed the footage and released the CCTV, which it said showed Mr. Corbyn passing empty seats as he boarded the train and later sat down. In the picture on Twitter, Greta is sitting on the floor at the end of a carriage with her back leaning against a suitcase staring out a window. There's an empty food box next to her, more suitcases and backpacks piled by her side. In the accompanying message, she wrote, traveling on overcrowded. Later, she tweeted, our train from Basel was taken out of traffic, so we sat on the floor on 2 different trains. After Gottenton, I got a seat. There's no problem, of course, and I never said it was. Overcrowded trains is a great sign because it means the demand for train travel is high. And she's had to make a couple apologies. But what's very interesting is that with a crowded train, wouldn't you think that would be better on the environment to stick as many people as you could on a train, less energy spent?
Well, that's what she said.
But no, she was saying that demand for trains were high,
and that's a good thing.
But putting more people on the train. She was complaining that there were too many people on the train.
But later she came back and walked it back and said, but no, that's a good thing. That means that demand for train travel is high.
I know, but you're missing my point.
I guess I am.
Okay, rather than using planes. But I'm saying that if more people you pack in, she's complaining about it being overcrowded. Okay? But the more people you pack in, the less trains you have to run to get the people to the next place.
So we might as well sit like sardines.
Yeah. To save the environment.
Right.
Okay. All right. Moving on from Greta.
Do we have to? So to sum that up though, I have this sneaking suspicion that unfortunately for Greta, when your handlers are of the side of the world that has to manufacture crises because they don't exist, whether it's gun violence or racism or whatever, a lot of times, like Jussie Smollett or whatever, he had to make up something and they feel
the MAGA hat.
They feel righteous in doing it, because in their minds they say, I know it exists, and so I have to just kind of display it.
The same thing with Corbyn, they have to lie.
And because they can't catch it on camera, because it's not in existence as largely and as widely spread as they say that it is.
It's so weird.
And if her handlers keep doing this, she will eventually be discredited and tossed to the wayside until they find someone else for their political
And that's what
puppet.
I'm afraid of with Greta. To be honest, I can't even make fun of her because she's getting to where she's being chewed up and she'll be spit out.
Yeah. Now, you and I know how it feels when we get like a bad comment or something like that. To be a child with Asperger's, to have to fight the world and fight mean and nasty people on both sides.
Oh, absolutely.
It's awful. A child should not have to go through that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let this guy go through it.
So this guy, he's not, look at this guy. Look at this guy right here. He's not trying to save the planet or anything, is he?
He's not doing any starvation hunger strikes?
No.
Are you sure?
Climate activists cheer as Al Gore slams UK's stupid Brexit decision. Activists at the COP25 climate conference in Madrid, Spain, burst into cheers and applause Tuesday when the former U.S. Vice President Al Gore said Brexit is perhaps the stupidest decision a country could have made. You're leaving the globalist power. We've been trying to manipulate you for years, you guys. I guess it's like Al Gore and hypocrite. Like there's so many
synonymous.
Yeah. Gore told the attendees at the Climate Reality Project, Such a joke. Conference, Brexit is perhaps the stupidest decision the country could have ever taken. He then turned his attention to the world's climate warning of the serious problem of global warming that needs to be urgently mitigated, saying it is causing millions of climate refugees who need to leave their homes to find other places to live. We must stop breaking the water cycle and not continue turning the sky into a sewer by emissions of polluting gases. Gore's previously linked fluctuations in global weather to Britain's decision to leave the European Union. 2017, Gore, who was speaking at an event to promote his latest global warming propaganda documentary, The Inconvenient Sequel. By the way, there wasn't supposed to be like an Arctic by now. So the first one didn't go so well. His prophetic prowess, not so strong. The force is not strong with this guy. Truth to Power said the Brexit vote in Britain was the result of political instability created by the stress caused by climate-induced chaos in the Middle East. So he's literally saying that people are leaving their homes and coming into Europe because and it's causing stress, which caused Brexit. Oh, that's a stretch. He needs to do some stretching, not that kind.
But is he really relevant anymore? Like, does anyone actually take what he says seriously?
Some people do.
So,
really okay, guys, we have a P.O. Box.
107 Milford, Ohio, 45150.
Send us your letters.
We will read them on air. Terry's in the chat. They sent us a box. I'm going to save it for, like, a Christmas thing, I think, if that's okay. So, we're going to sign off. We love you guys. God loves you. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. So, thank you guys for sticking by. Our cousin Tim actually said in the chat on Facebook that on Friday night, he had 250 people watching us live. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless.
God bless.
And we'll see you back on Friday for sure, but probably before that for the premiere. So be watching. Check out resistancechicks.com and our YouTube channel for more information. So, all right, you guys. God bless.
You call my name.